This video is kindly sponsored by this month's craft, but more on that later. Hey, welcome back to Mindful May. Today I am sharing the ups and downs of my knitting journey so far. Spoiler alert, it's a lot of the lows, but that happens when you're learning something new. Honestly, I really imagined presenting this video to you while wearing something that I knit, and that clearly did not happen. So it just didn't go as I thought it would, but that's pretty usual for a Mindful May video. So coming up next is a little vlog about my knitting journey so far, and after that, I'm sharing my plans for patterns I want to make as I learn and grow in this skill this year. Initially, I did talk about this being a goal for 2025 in this video, and this goal in particular is one where I just dove straight in. I thrifted some yarn and some needles. I learned later that these are not the right needles to use for this project, but I was just so gung-ho. I watched a tutorial for knitting a dish towel, and then I just went for it. 2 days later, I signed up for knitting classes, and I was off to the races. So let's jump into the vlog, and I'll see you back here later to talk about some knitting plans. Alright, it's done. It looks very lopsided to me, but it was just my first practice piece. I definitely feel like I cast off incorrectly. Something went wrong there. I feel like the center stitches are all really consistent. It was the edges that I had trouble with. But that's how you learn. I read online that it's good to start with something like a dishcloth or a scarf just to get used to the knitting needles and the same motions over and over and to make rows. So this fulfilled that. I definitely need to practice more, but this was a satisfying first project. I kind of got addicted to finishing it. It did take me longer than I thought it would for such a tiny square. Like, I want to make a sweater. I have to do this like 30 times. So knitting is definitely one of those things that teaches you patience. It's also very peaceful. I'm looking forward to the journey. That said, I am going to unravel this. I would like to keep the yarn, but I do not need whatever this is. This is not a dishcloth. I am headed to my first knitting class today. I'm very excited. I don't really know what to expect. I feel like knitting is going to be much harder than I think it's going to be. I've just done my, whoa, that's right. I've done my small project and that's all. Here we go. Here goes nothing. Happy 2025 and cheers to trying new things. In my first knitting class, we wound the yarn, we learned to cast on, and we learned the knit stitch. If you're wondering why I am knitting with bright purple yarn, it's because the only options in class were bright purple or bright orange, which are two of my least favorite colors in the entire world. It is 100% wool though, which is cool. The craft store that put on the class provides all of the yarn you need and all the needles, which is pretty cool. Alrighty, first class is done. I felt like, I mean, it's helpful to like ask questions, but when we started to like cast on and knit, I was like, oh, I know this already. This is what I've been doing. It was all the same stuff as the dishcloth. So there was part of me that was like, maybe I shouldn't have paid to take this class. I still have so much to learn, so I'm sure it will be worth it in the end. And I get to ask all my questions. I asked her every question I had on my mind. So that is the nice part about taking a class, because I went back and forth for a while. I was like, feel like I could learn everything I need to on YouTube, but then if I have questions, that's really hard to like get that feedback. Having that person there who knows what they're doing, who's been doing it forever, who can see your mistakes in an instant and tell you what you did or help you do what you want to do, that's so valuable. So class 1 out of 4 is done, and I already got several rows onto the little like neck scarf that we're making, and my homework is to finish it, which I think I can do. All in all, pretty good. I do recommend taking a class. This is the progress I made on my cowl. I chipped away at it in my downtime for the next week. Here's the update so far. I feel like this is maybe like 10 inches and I need to go like 16 or 18. So getting there. I'm trying so hard to not be frustrated right now. I have ordered this interchangeable needle set twice from Joann's Fabrics online, and twice they have canceled the order. I think because they ran out. The first time I was so upset because I used a 50% off coupon. They canceled the order and I was like, when am I gonna get a coupon like that? That was such a good deal. Turns out they come quite frequently. So I think 2 weeks later, I tried ordering them again and I got so excited. There was a 50% off coupon. I ordered them and I just got notified that they canceled it again. And I'm like, I'm so mad. I don't really get mad, but I was just so excited to use them. I have my second knitting class tomorrow and I was gonna pick them up today and have them ready to show my instructor this sweater pattern that I wanna work on. So I'm frustrated and I don't know when they'll get them in stock. It feels like the dumbest thing to be upset over, but when you like get so hyped about something, to be disappointed, I'm bummed. Quick update, I just went to Joann's just to get the set of needles I need for my sweater, just to at least get it started, like the body. And hopefully I'll figure out how to get that interchangeable needle set at some point, because I think it saves a ton of money to buy just the set versus a bunch of different needles and sizes with different sizes of cord between the circular needles. So at least I can start it. I finished knitting my cowl and we learned to bind off and then weave in the ends. It was supposed to be like an asymmetrical design. I don't know why this wasn't my pattern that I chose. This is what they do in the class. I must have had just like tighter tension and looser tension because it didn't end up having extra here for the asymmetry. It looks ridiculous, but I kind of love that this is one of my first projects and it looks so silly. All right, second knitting class is done. We finished the neck wrap and then moved on to a hat. And this is how far I got. It's hard to trust that it's going to be the right size, but I'm told that it will stretch. So with this project, I learned how to do purls. So I did 3 knits, 3 purls all the way around, and I'm going to continue for the bottom cuff and then follow the instructions on how to finish the rest. Now, because I can't work on one project at a time, I decided to print out the pattern for this sweater and get the materials I needed. In my knitting class, we only covered 2 projects, but it's 4 weeks long. So I knew that with the leftover time, I would have a chance to get help with another project. And because I get excited about things, I paused the hat and I started on the sweater on my own with probably too much confidence. All right. First mistake of many, I'm sure. I cast on 96 stitches and then knit and purled 1 round, but I didn't know how to join it in the round. When it says to join in the round, I didn't do that step. So I need to undo this and then connect them so that I'm sewing in a circle. And I have made a ginormous mess trying to take it out, so I'm just gonna start over. I tried again, cast on, did my first knit 1, purl 1 round, and we have another mistake. I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry. So when I joined in the round, I dropped a stitch. Because I dropped a stitch, I am now short a stitch. It didn't say in the pattern to cast on an extra stitch, so I didn't know that I should do that to have the same number that I started with. So I currently have 95 stitches. So I'm ending on an uneven number. I need to start over and cast on an extra stitch, so when I join in the round and I drop the stitch that connects them, I will still have 96 to work with. Guys, this is my second time doing this. It feels like such an accomplishment to finish one knit one, purl one round. So having to start over stinks, but at least it's at the very beginning and I want to do it right. We're going to build a strong foundation. This is my practice sweater. That's why I bought like not great yarn. This is mostly acrylic. It has a little bit of wool, but I didn't want to make my first sweater with like something really expensive. This was on sale. It's still a beautiful color. So that's why I'm not using a natural fiber, because this is practice and I knew I would make a bunch of mistakes. Even though I knew that, it's still disappointing. So we will go for attempt number 3. And that brings us to today. I need to restart my sweater and maybe should wait for my instructor's help. And then I have my hat that I'm chipping away at. I still have about 5 days left until my next class and I should be getting pretty far along with this. So I am only 2 weeks into knitting and it is a little bit harder than I thought it would be, but I will tackle it, I will figure it out. My next thought about it is that it's a lot more expensive than I thought it would be. I don't even want to disclose how much I have spent on this hobby so far. A more positive takeaway is that I do feel like it's teaching me patience, and that is a great lesson to learn. What would life be like if we were all super good at anything we ever tried? That does sound fun, but we would have no character. The next positive takeaway is that the learning curve is steep, but from what I gather, knitting actually is pretty simple once you get it down. There are only 2 stitches in knitting, the knit and the purl stitch, and everything else is a pattern of the 2. For instance, like my hat, it's 3 knit, 3 purl, and it creates this ribbed effect. Whereas with crochet, there's 150 stitches, which is wild. It just makes knitting seem so much simpler than crochet, even though it's 2 needles versus 1. The last positive takeaway is that it's a really good way to spend your free time. If you're trying to watch less TV or be on your phone less like me, take up knitting. It keeps your mind occupied. It's a cool conversation starter if you knit in public, which I have done. And then at the end, you come out with something awesome. And this all leads me to today's sponsor. If you are also wanting to pick up a new craft or hobby in the new year, this is for you. This month's craft is a subscription box, and they send you a new craft or DIY project every month. With this month's craft, you don't have a high startup cost for materials. They include everything you need with instructions and ideas for what to make. I actually have my box right here and I thought it'd be fun to open it together. I was so excited to receive this. I waited until now to open it with you. So let's check out what's inside. First, I must say that I love the packaging. So I chose the pottery box. We have this little information packet. It looks like it has a history of pottery, a list of everything that's inside, and then some of the top tips for how to master clay thickness, how to join pieces in pottery. Honestly, this is everything that I've learned in pottery classes that I've taken. I've taken 3 different pottery classes in my life, and these are all really useful tips. They teach you some basics, and then what I really enjoy is that they lay out project ideas for you. So if you're the type of person who gets materials for a craft, but then you don't know what to make, or you don't feel like you're a creative person, you can just follow along with the steps inside. You can make a pinch pot, a vase, or a trinket dish, and they have all the steps on how to do this. Next up, we have some varnish and the base coat. Let's see what we got in here. You guys, this is crazy. While I do have these tools from previous classes, I had to buy them all separately. This is such a nice set. This is awesome that it comes with all the tools that you need. Next, we have 2 sizes of brush. These seem like nice quality. As someone who is into watercolor, these have a nice weight to them, like they're not plastic. That's such a small thing, but that means a lot to me that they don't have that like cheap feeling, you know? Oh my gosh. Okay, genuinely, this is shocking. 8 different acrylic paints, and a good amount of them too, and very nice colors. Like, these are beautiful pastel colors, nothing too like bright or garish. I really like these options. That's beautiful. And lastly, the clay. So we have 1 kilogram of air dry clay. I think that's about 2 pounds. Holy moly, that's a lot. I'm gonna open this right now. Incredible. This is gonna be super fun to play with. Another reason I'm excited to start this craft is that I have dabbled in pottery before and I've never been good at throwing on the wheel. My husband is very good at it, exhibit A and B, while I am not very talented at it, exhibit A and B. I personally much preferred hand building, and these are a couple of the bowls I made. I'm excited that the pottery box comes with acrylic paints because I do really like adding those colorful touches to my pieces. This is another hand built piece. It's just something I'm better at and I like getting my hands in there with the clay. So I'm really excited to spend an afternoon crafting with this. The wheels are definitely turning on what I want to make. I'm thinking about a trinket dish for my rings, maybe a vase, and then I could buy some flowers to put in it. I also think a candlestick holder would be really cute. I'm having all kinds of ideas. So tune back in for more updates on what I do with this box. But I did want to speak about hobbies just real quick. I have had tons of hobbies in my life ever since I was a kid. Coloring, drawing, pastels, watercolor, crochet, pottery, paint by number, playing the guitar, playing the piano, dancing, sewing, and now knitting. And they have brought so much joy and fulfillment into my life. Hobbies are amazing for us as humans because we get to release stress, focus our minds on one task. Because we're naturally multitaskers and we're thinking about a million things at once, hobbies help us to live in the present moment. You get to learn something new, challenge your brain, and then you get to share what you made with others and enjoy the fruit of your labor. All that said, hobbies are awesome, and if you want to try a new one this year, check out this month's craft. They gave me a discount code for you guys, so use the link below and my code May20 for 20% off your first box. Thank you again to this month's craft for sponsoring this video. All right, let's talk about my knitting dreams. Admittedly, after these first 2 weeks of knitting, I know that what I'm about to talk about is just a daydream, but I get so excited about patterns and I just wanted to share. So here are some patterns I've had my eye on and plan to make in the next year or two. I don't know. Knitting takes a while. So the first pattern I already mentioned, this is the Holiday Time Sweater by Ashley Lillis, which is a free pattern, God bless her. I am making it in this cilantro green Lion Brand Wool Ease yarn. That's a mouthful. This is the specific yarn recommended for this project, and it's very cheap. I got 5 skeins for $24. As I mentioned before, it's mostly acrylic, 80% acrylic, 20% wool, which is not my ideal, but for a first sweater, I'm really excited to use this. Next, I want to make the Let's Boogie Raglan cardigan by Honey Knits. This is an $8 pattern, and I had heard that raglan is a good style to start with if you're a beginner. I also love the green that she chose, and it may just be the yarn that drew me in, but it looks super cozy. I do like a sleeve that's a bit more balloony and that comes in at the cuffs. I love that style for cardigans. But I also do love a cardigan with buttons, so I want to make the cardigan number 7 by My Favorite Things. This is also an $8 pattern, and in this soft blue, oh my gosh, so stunning. So feminine and beautiful, and it's another chance for me to practice a raglan knit cardigan. Next is the Classic Ribbed Hat by Originally Lovely. This is also a free pattern. I want to make one of these for myself at some point, but first I wanted to make one for my new niece who was just born last month, and then I have another nephew or niece, we don't know the gender yet, who's due in a couple weeks. And for those, I wanted to use my 100% cotton. This was my dishcloth, but I unraveled it and rewound it, and I would love to use this. I think it'd be so cute for a baby beanie. And then I wanted to make one in this chartreuse yarn that I just thrifted. I did film that thrift trip. My mom was in town, so it was extra special, and I will show you that thrift trip and my whole haul in a video coming soon. So if you love all things thrifty, crafty, mindful, subscribe to Mindful May. I would love to chat with you in the comments. And if you have knitting tips, beginner patterns, or any other helpful info, do let me know. I have so much more to learn, and I love reading all of your comments below. I've been so blessed by the kindness you've shared in the comments. I'm really so grateful for this growing community of creative people. I will see you soon. Cheers, guys.